Welcome to Conversation with Zaki Baruti, with your host, Zaki Baruti. And like always, I want to give a shout out to my biological family, what's happening. To the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's going on. And to New Life Evangelistic Center family headed by Reverend Rice. Keep up the great work. And a shout out to our cameraman, Bob. On that note, we'll have another great show because in studio with me is a brother that I have so much respect for. And that's none other than the publisher of the St. Louis Argus, and that's Talibdin El-Amin. What's going on, my brother?
Good morning, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well,
Good. Good to be here.
You know, when we begin our shows, I always like for my audience to know a little bit about who I'm interviewing. So whatever you want people to know about Talibdin El-Amin, you know, your background or whatever you want folks to know, would you please share?
Well, first let me start off by saying that I was a kid watching you do work. And I think it's important for people like myself to pay homage and respect to the efforts that have come before us. So I want to be able to say that because so many other people that I see that are still out there on the ground who don't get the recognition, not that they do it for that. So I got to say, man, I start off as a kid watching people in the movement, whether it was you or the Jamal Rogers or the Percy Greens, whoever. So I'm humbled and honored to be here.
Thank you.
I'm a person who grew up in the movement, under my father, who was a labor organizer, and was very involved. And I take my cue from him, who said that you always have to be commit to something bigger than yourself. He was a very selfless person. So having taken my cue from him, been involved on the back end of politics, been involved directly in politics as a state representative and a committeeman, and still being involved to some degree, just being in a place to offer assistance and help where I could in terms of counsel. Right now I am the publisher of the St. Louis Argus newspaper. That's something I'm very proud of because it's a part of history. It's not something that I say I own. It's something that belongs to the people. It's been here for 113 years. So I'm just a current custodian of the St. Louis Argus newspaper.
I know that's right. And in fact, just you made mention in terms of political involvement. How long were you a state? So you were a state rep?
I was a state representative.
Only elected position? Or?
Right.
Okay.
I was elected in 2000, the election of 2006, 2000. Started my term in 2007, so up to 2010. Have been a committee person prior to that. And like I said, my thing was always to be a part of something. I never had to be out front because we understand politics. Sometimes that makes you a target, so, and if you're a selfless person, you see somebody that's doing the work, and I say this, you have organizations out there, so if you really want to involve yourself, get with somebody who's doing the work like your organization, or any other organizations out there that is aiming to edify the conditions of our people. So
now, we always encourage people to vote. Why is it important for people to vote? Just looking at electoral politics before we get into the newspaper.
Well, not just vote. I don't want to tell people just to vote. I want them to vote with a purpose. I want them to vote with intentionality. So I think that it's important, if for nothing else, even if you didn't like a candidate on the ballot, off the principle that there's so many people who sacrifice for that basic liberty, I think that we need to show up. Even if you wrote in your great-grandmother's name, or great-grandfather's name, I think it's very important for that reason alone. But then also, it's a numbers game. People pay attention to numbers. So if you're not voting, if you're not impacting the process, you're going to be written off the process in terms of people engaging you. So I think that we need to be able to send a message that we will vote, because people just pay attention to that. We're numbers in the eyes of a lot of politicians.
So exploring that a little bit more in terms of electoral politics, we have a upcoming presidential election. But before I ask that question, I want to go one more time back as far as you've been an elected official. What would you say was your high point as an official, as well as the negative component of being elected? Let's go with the negativity first and end with the positive.
The negativity, as it was then, and even more so now, it's very nasty. I come up from a time that I can agree or disagree with you, and it's okay. I can still respect the humanity of yourself and you as a man or you as a woman. Right now, that doesn't exist. So politics has been dumbed down so much. And being on the inside showed me just how much politics is dumbed down. People benefit, elected officials benefit off of people not knowing. And the bar has been so low for so long, especially for us as black folk, that it doesn't take much. Give us a good song and a dance, and matter of fact, you don't even have to speak to our issues. You give us our issues and speak to that. And so that's the low point when you see that the people who say they care don't care. And so much of you wants to say, you don't care. I heard you talk. I know what you're doing. So that's a hurtful thing, that the people who really care and really work the hardest are the people that you're not going to see out front sometimes. Matter of fact, those people you're going to see under attack, like a Kim Gardner.
So what's the high point?
The high point is there are people in there. The high point is the relationship building. A lot of times, whether it's in business or politics, we're transactional. But when you get to the point where you establish real relationships with people, and you can get things done that are not a part of a bill. See, we're thinking that, if we introduce a bill that we made some progress. Your ability to serve people probably won't even come in legislation. It's your ability to be able to help that child get into school, help a person pay their bill, help a person who doesn't have a voice and somebody locked up and look after their loved one who's incarcerated. So the high point is impacting lives outside the view of the political structure in terms of legislation.
Well, when we talk about politics, one other issue I want to raise, but I have to do that on the other side of the break.
I hope you're enjoying the Zaki Baruti show. Now, we need your help to get the word out about this community affair program and so many others. Now, how do you do that? Well, you tell folks to turn to 24.2 on their television set, and even family, friends, relatives that live outside of the area, well, get them to put the NLEC TV app on their phones and look it up on their computer. 24 hours of wholesome family programming, so much community programming that you're not getting on other stations, right here on NLEC TV. So please spread the word. And while you're doing that, continue to get involved in the work of the New Life Evangelistic Center. So many opportunities awaiting you and your family at this particular time. New Life Evangelistic Center is on the front lines with first responders, directly helping homeless people day after day after day. Behind me are the new headquarters for the New Life Evangelistic Center, along with the studios for NLEC TV or 24.2. You may want to drop by and visit them sometime. This is where we record the Zaki Baruti program at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. New Life Evangelistic Center is offering homeless people so many opportunities to be set free from the cycle of homelessness, has a wide variety of safe houses, and so many women and children are staying there, and they're learning all different kinds of different skills, all kinds of skills here at 2428 Woodson Road. We also have the training centers in New Bloomfield, Missouri, Marshfield, Missouri, the largest daytime walk-in facility, southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas at 806 North Jefferson, in Springfield, Missouri, the worldwide work of the New Life Evangelistic Center in Kakata, India, and then in Lagos, Nigeria, and in Haiti, all over New Life Evangelistic Center, trying to help people that are in need. New Life Evangelistic Center receives no city, state, or federal dollars, and we're only able to do this as a result of the prayers and involvement of caring people like you. So please pray for this work, and please partner with the New Life Evangelistic Center so we continue to keep the Zaki Baruti Show and the other community affair programs on the air. Remember, tell everyone you know about it, and go to the NLEC TV app.
When we contemplate the grace and the love that we see in Jesus Christ and His sacrifice on the cross, we naturally want to generously give to others. We should generously give because we so graciously and generously receive from the love and the power of God to set ourselves free from sin. Remember, Christian, it is so important to generously give as a witness of the gospel that you yourself have received in your own life. It is important to give to churches, not just money, but your time and your resources as well, recognizing what you yourself have received, because all things, all good things that we have come from our Father above. Give generously and joyfully.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is Brother Talibdin El-Amin, who is the publisher of one of the oldest newspaper here in St. Louis and probably throughout Missouri. But right now we're looking at a little bit of politics, and I'd be very, very remiss just to get your insight as it relates to the upcoming presidential election. Share your thoughts.
My thoughts is I wish you were running for president. It'd be a lot easier to be able to have this discussion. Very disappointed in the choices, and I think that many Americans share this view in the candidates that we have. You know, it's poor choices that are there right now. You know, I think that you had a lot of African Americans. You know, of course, at any time, African Americans support the Democratic Party over 90% of the time. So you have a void there where you have a Donald Trump that's getting over 25% support in polls from African Americans. And that's really unheard of at this point in the election cycle, where the Republican Party candidate is getting that much support. So I'm extremely disappointed in Joseph Biden. I say this on behalf of the people because I'm not as disappointed because I never put that much trust into Joe Biden, understanding his history. And what happens is African Americans are always relegated to the choice of the lesser two evils. That's our choices.
Yep.
And they understand that. And that's why they engage our community in the way they do, because they say, who are you going to vote for? A Republican? And they know that. And the unfortunate thing is I've had Democrats in high positions tell me that.
Mm. So that's very interesting. But moving on and going to you being the publisher of the St. Louis Argus, give us a little background history of that. I call it a historic newspaper. Would you provide a little?
Yeah, I will, and you can probably equally give me some history of it, because the exciting thing about being a publisher of the Argus is that there's so many other people who have a history and a knowledge. And so I'm always learning about that. So just in short, the Argus was established in 1912 by the Mitchell brothers. Moving forward, Joseph Mitchell married Nanny Mitchell Turner. So, and just moving it even further, her grandson, Dr. Eugene Mitchell, took over the paper.
I knew Dr. Mitchell.
Oh, you knew Dr. Mitchell.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so that's why I say you could tell me some of the history. So right around 2000, 2001, my father-in-law, Eddie Hassan, then purchased the paper. So, and from that point, began the process of really rebuilding it. I think they did an awesome job. And from that point, his daughter, Yafet El-Amin, took over. And from that point, I became the publisher. So, and so that's just kind of a brief. But I'm finding out so many things across the nation. I've had people reach out to me. Back in the 50s, I think in 55, the Argus had covered the Emmett Till story in a way that I think it was one or two papers, the Chicago Defender and the St. Louis Argus, that had wrote extensively about that. So, I'm pretty excited to have people come up to me, tell me the history, showing me the history, and even reaching out to get information from the archives about it. So, I'm just humbled by the opportunity to be in the position that I am in.
Right, and I'm very humbled by the St. Louis Argus. I forgot wherever you're presenting me with an award. That's one I truly appreciate also for community involvement. Definitely. Now, on the front page of your most recent newspaper, and I want to kind of talk about a couple of articles that's in the paper. You got St. Louis teams conquer Columbia. What do you mean by they conquered Columbia? Winning 3 state.
Oh yeah, actually it was more than that. I mean, I think you had from the St. Louis metropolitan area, they really just dominated the championships in Columbia. So you have Vashon that did what it did, that it always does, and because it has a culture of winning. You had University City, you had Cardinal Ritter, you had Live for Life Academy. I think you had John Burroughs Girls. I think you had DeSmet. So it just, the area just performed. And it's something that we need, because a lot of times St. Louis is really shut off in conversations, even though we're the economic engine of the state when it comes to just recognition outside of crime. we don't necessarily get that. So any victory is a good victory.
Yeah, and you got that on the front page saluting our youth. That's let me salute you for that. That's
Definitely.
And in fact, we also as an organization publish a quarterly newspaper. Our theme was Save the Children, in the spirit of Black love. And
Right.
it was part 2. And by projecting, why is that important, just that topic, saving our children? How would you respond to that?
Well, because
and why we must have that as a thing?
Just like I said in the studio years ago, I think with your grandson, and when I saw him there, what I looked at, I was like, he's the person that's going to carry something on and something forward. And we have to not only acknowledge them, but support them, because our time, like with anything, has an expiration date. Even if we stay here, our efforts and our ability to serve in a way that we wanted to serve will be diminished. So you have to acknowledge these children, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for love. They're looking for acceptance. And if we don't do it in a positive way, with the positive forms and platforms that we have, the streets are going to put their arms around them.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
Well, I truly appreciate that. Now, one article, a couple articles, not a couple, the whole paper caught my attention, but in particular, you have an article within this edition that's dealing with cowardice, complicity, collusion, and whole politics defines what passes for U.S. foreign policy, and it was part 1. I want us to delve into that after the break.
So many people are hurting and hopeless. They feel despondent and in despair. They are living on the streets in conditions that are horrible and not suitable for any human being. And it takes so many loving people to walk alongside them and give them opportunities to change. Zaki Baruti and his show is exposing the people who are making a real difference in our community. And he's been a faithful partner of New Life Evangelistic Center for many years. And I want to invite you to be like Zaki Baruti and make an impact in someone's life today. You can love others well, and you can do it in a meaningful and powerful way. I am so thankful for people who have partnered like Zaki, and I just want to share some of the impacts that you're really making when you partner with New Life Evangelistic Center. You're offering 365 days of care for a woman in need who's fleeing domestic abuse. You're offering not just care, but discipleship and mentorship and training services for her. Not only are you doing that, you're also getting hygiene kits and survival gears into the hand of people who need them, who are living on the streets of St. Louis. Not only that, but you're caring for orphans and widows in India, and you're preaching the gospel in every single one of these places, India, Ukraine, and all throughout mid-Missouri. You're also helping hundreds of people each day in the day center in Springfield. You're making a real impact on the lives of hundreds every single day. And you do that when you partner alongside New Life Evangelistic Center, along with faithful partners like Zaki Baruti. How I thank God for people like you for change.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is the publisher of the St. Louis August, one of the oldest and most profound newspapers here in the St. Louis area. It's a weekly newspaper. Really, the audience targeted to everybody, but in particular the Black community.
Unapologetically.
I was making mention on the other side of the break, your article that from the publisher perspective. I like the title, Cowardice, Complicity, Collusion, and Hope. Politics defines what passes for U.S. foreign policy. Man, what are you dealing with in that article?
Well, I'm dealing with the elements that comprise the politics. And when I was thinking about that, of course you're thinking about local. Everything starts local. You're thinking about state, thinking about national, but international. What we see right now, one of the most tragic, and there's so many tragedies that are going on. When you talk about Sudan and things that happen in Africa, but what's been at the forefront is what's happening in Palestine, and this unqualified support that this government has given the Israeli government to do what it's doing upon the people of Palestine. And there's people, and what I've heard in my time in office, were people who knew something wasn't right and they went along with it. So they were complicit. And if you're really complicit and you know something is right, then there's an element of cowardice to that. Or you were just outright colluding with that wrong, and that's what you have, those elements that make up the politics. And we need to understand, and really I wrote that so that people can understand. I want that person to look and read that and say, is that me? Because a lot of times they don't think that we see them, right? I used the term hoe, and I knew that for some it would be inflammatory in terms of what that conjures. Hoe. H-O-E. And I did that with intention because it conjures up something, right? It conjured up selling. But I used it as an acronym for hypocrisy. And of course the E was evil and oxymoronic. Hypocrisy, oxymoronic, and evil. And that's the nature of the politics, of the policy.
Explain oxymoronic.
Right. In the case of, let's say you take a Ukraine and let me correct myself, the government.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Malcolm always
yeah, it's not my house. I'm here, so I pay taxes. When you look at the difference in American policy when it comes to dealing with Ukraine and Russia, and Israel. So there's, we engage things in this way. And at the same time, you take the same parallel issue with this person because it doesn't align up with your views or your national interests, international interests, then you take a totally opposite position. So, and you find that it's almost every day when you listen to the White House press briefings and whatnot, and they say, well, the loss of one life in Ukraine, we have to keep sending this money because we value all lives. But then you have 30,000 lives that are lost in Palestine and their collateral damage. So that's
the hypocrisy.
The hypocrisy in that.
Yeah.
So, but we understand that because our lives weren't valued, even in percentage-wise, we would consider, 3/5 of a person, if that high.
Right.
So, but those are all the elements that you'll find in the policies, whether on the state level and especially on the international level. So that was the root of that article.
And that's part one of how many parts you gonna do?
That's 3 parts. I really had to stop and cut it off because I really want to go into that and also the idea of issuecratic politics, because we have to be able to break free of this unholy matrimony that we have to partisan politics and engage more independent thinking. And you can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican, you be independent in your thinking, So that's something, a matter of fact, that makes me squirm when people say, "Oh, you're a Democrat." Even when I was in office, I'm like, please don't vote for me because of that.
Right.
Hear me out on the issue, because I wanted them to be more issue-oriented in their engagement. So,
and in that you're dealing with foreign policy, why is foreign policy? Why should that be of great interest to our community? Some people be saying, "Oh, that's over there, and we shouldn't be concerned." But I want you to address that on the other side of the break.
Is anxiety becoming more and more a part of your daily living? Is it sucked all the joy out of you till worry begins to dominate your life? Then I want to encourage you to take the nature prescription that is given in Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 34. Experience the peace that passes all understanding as you move into the beauty of creation, meditating on the God who's created all this, letting His Word unfold in your life. When He says not to be anxious, don't be anxious, but consider the lilies. They don't go out here and toil and spin, and yet look at them in all their beauty, the flowers. Look at the birds. They don't worry about what they're going to reap and sow, and yet your Heavenly Father takes care of them. He'll also take care of you. But put first the kingdom of God. Jesus Christ, through His death and resurrection, made that possible. Commit your life to Jesus right now. Call upon Him in this day of trouble. He will deliver you, and you will experience His peace that passes all understanding, giving you the ability to to stop worrying?
There are so many people who work in our community glorifying God with the gifts that they have, and we thank Zaki for doing that regularly with us. You can make a difference too by partnering alongside New Life Evangelistic Center. If you're tired of seeing all of the pain and the hurting around you in your community, and you're ready to get into the trenches and to work alongside a ministry that has been doing this work for so long, consider and pray helping New Life Evangelistic Center to be there when people are hurting. Zaki has done that for many years, and we're so thankful for that. You can be a part of the difference too. You can be a part of the team, God's team, of working to help heal the hurts of hurting people in our community. We would love to partner alongside you. Please contact us soon to get involved with the work of New Life Evangelistic Center.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti with Brother Talibdin El-Amin. And we only got a couple more minutes. Real quickly, in terms of the question on the other side of the break about foreign policy, why is it very important for our people to be have some knowledge of foreign policy or a big concern?
Well, I'll just say what Nelson Mandela said. He said that the issue of Palestinians is inextricably linked to the African American struggle and the struggle of Africans. And when you understand the history and you listen to Malcolm X, he never saw us as part of a minority. He saw us in the context internationally as part of the dark majority. And when we began to see ourselves and our struggles in context of the struggles of the international community of colored people, we began to think differently. We engage people differently, and the international community will engage us and respect us differently. So our struggles are linked. And anybody who says they love our people and our history, whether it's Malcolm X, whoever you say you love, of that, understood that and spoke to that. And anybody who doesn't have that, you can't say you love people like a Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey.
You know, I've been blessed to travel fairly extensively. I've been into Israel/Palestine, and never forget my observation of the treatment of the Israelis toward the Palestinians took me back to almost the Jim Crow era that we studied. You know, I mean, just for a public record. Now, for people who may be interested in getting copies of the Argus, how would they get in contact with it? And as well as if anybody might want to be a contributing writer for your paper, how would they get in contact?
Contact me directly. You can go to our website at stlargusnews.com. You can reach me there. You can reach me directly at the number. We really wanted to be a paper for the people. So if there's a person, you know, that wants to contribute something, they have something that's happening, let me know. If there's a place that you want a paper distributed that's not distributed, please call me and let me know, and we'll get that distributed. But it is a paper for the people that's open for content contribution.
And how often is the paper published?
We're weekly. We print twice a month, but we have the newsletter that is 5 times a day, 5 times a week. I apologize, 5 times a week. And we have the web edition that goes in full 4 times a month.
And how many distribution sites do you have throughout the area?
I'm saying upward to 60. There are some that I left off because we've added it. What we're doing, we're really focusing on where our people are at: the barbershops, the beauty shops, the churches, some of the inner stores on the inside of the community. So that's why it's important for us. If you don't see a paper there, call. We'll get it there wherever you're at.
Okay, then we only got a minute left. One powerful statement you'd like to leave with our audience.
Think, for thinking benefits believing. Think in whatever we do, our political engagement, vote with intention.
On that note, like always, I want to encourage you to, as he mentioned, vote, but know about the issues, as well as everyone should be a badge of honor to belong to an organization that speaks truth to power and have a track record. We always say join the Universal African Peoples Organization. On that note, may God bless each and every one of you.